Hello and welcome back to A Better World. This is your host Mitchell J. Rabin, and I'm very glad you're joining us again today. Today we're going to have another very interesting show. I have invited to be our guest Ed Japngie from Phoenix, Arizona, who has developed a series of products called LifeBeat products, and it's a result of his work as a biomedical engineer for actually decades, looking at the interface of healing with technology and technology with consciousness. What is the role of our will? What is the role of our intent when it comes to the utilization of software, of different kinds of machines for healing, or for any number of different kinds of spiritual evolutionary activities? And that's really the subject of today's show, because this is a domain that is not well known, but becoming more so. And Ed has been really on the cutting edge of this, so we're very glad to have him here. And at a certain point in the show, we're going to give you a demonstration of the use of some of his sprays that are supercharged with energy in such a way that, well, what you see is something that is very unusual, something you won't see in other places, having to do with something you could call defying gravity. So with that, Ed, glad to have you on the show.
Pleasure to be with you again, Mitchell. It's a pleasure.
Good. So what is it that brought you into this field in the very first place? And then we'll go from there. What inspired you?
It's primarily my curiosity on how originally was with homeopathy, and how that played a role in how you were able to take a minute amount of either a plant, a mineral, or an animal, and then have that completely get rid of a disease or an emotional condition or psychological condition, and that intrigued me.
Yeah,
so.
Where in the less you have of a substance actually increases its potency.
Exactly.
I mean, where do you get that inverse relationship in nature, typically?
Right, and it shows up in a lot of different areas, but we're at a society where we think, we're supersize me. It's everything is bigger is better. And
Mo is better.
Yeah, exactly. and so when you're talking about subtle energy, we're not talking about using a sledgehammer.
Exactly. It gets lost in the mix.
Exactly.
If you look at our regular conventional medicine, they've got like the scalpels ready and heavy duty drugs at hand.
Exactly.
Ready to
exactly.
Dose somebody.
But that's it, exactly. We kind of treat, even from the medical industry, we're looking at our body like a car.
A machine, right?
Yeah, your car, your kidney's not working. Let's find you an OEM replacement kidney. So it's really
without
interesting.
taking into consideration the energy of it, the soul that was behind generating the kidney in the first place, if there's a soul, and even just on a more plain level, a personality.
Absolutely.
That has been interacting with the environment and the world and itself in a particular way. You can't just take that out and stick it in another person and expect that kidney is its own entity, its own being, really.
Exactly, and there's going to be consequences in regard to that. And that was kind of what I got into really looking at, was what is that connection? What is the information? What is the matrix that, if you were to take, stem cells, how does a stem cell know to become a cell of a kidney?
Liver or kidney,
or whatever it is. I mean, what is that mechanism that is that perfection? Because I heard this term once, that the perfection, or what was it? The perfection of imperfection is absolute perfection. That's very interesting, because that's kind of how that's, here we are in a technological age where we can't make as much as an eyelash, and yet the human body is capable of doing things way beyond anything that technology has been able to emulate.
Exactly.
And again, that kind of brings us back to an interesting point where what I was looking at was okay, well, here we've taken a computer, which is kind of a model of how we think our brain works, in conjunction with our peripherals, which are our organs, and then the software mechanism being our belief systems, the DNA, and all of these components. So I figured, wow, if that's the case, then you can run a defrag on your computer. You can take software that is like, antivirus software, and really kind of speed up your system, streamline it. And then what about putting in new programs? So that's how this kind of evolved from the idea of homeopathy, which was just one minute particle of something broken down to the millionth part. And I thought, well, what if we created a whole program instead?